Coming up next on Arizona Horizon, Maricopa County schools turn to budget overrides to make up for gaps in state education funding, and we'll visit with world-renowned concert pianist Long Long, a classical virtuoso with rock star appeal. Those stories next on Arizona Horizon.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of 8, members of your Arizona PBS station. Thank you.
Good evening and welcome to Arizona Horizon. I'm Ted Simons. More than 30 school districts in Maricopa County will turn to voters this year in hopes of approving bonds and budget overrides. Some district officials say the money from local taxpayers is needed to make up for years of cuts in state funding. Joining me now to talk about school bond and override elections are Scottsdale Superintendent David Peterson and John Fisher, Executive Director of Stand for Children in Arizona, a group committed to improving education. Good to have you both here. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Let's define terms, because I know a lot of people, their eyes are already glazing over. What is a school bond? What is an override election?
That's a great question, and we get that a lot because people they confuse those things. We look at bonds. Bonds start with a B, so we say buildings and buses. You can buy buildings and buses with bonds. Overrides, O, that's operations. That's people and programs.
And basically this is local funding for local schools.
It's the local control of our constituents that says we want to fund these things so that we have quality educational programs for our children.
And are there different overrides for different things?
Absolutely. So each individual district that goes out for a bond or override has to define what specifically those additional dollars are going to support. So in one district it could be, so we're working with the Roosevelt School District. The override is supporting extended school time. And in Alhambra, they're working on a capital override that will increase the amount of technology that they have in their school.
Can there be more than one thing that the money would go to, or do you have to emphasize one thing in particular?
There can be multiple.
If there are multiple, does it make it a little more difficult to get through? What are the dynamics there?
You know, it really does make it a little bit more difficult to explain to the community what the funds are going to support, and that's critical in making sure that it's passed, because the community is ultimately the decider in whether or not the bond passed or the override passed.
So you can do an override for books, for utilities, for daily operations, and again, are they structured in a way where you got to vote for this or you got to vote for that? What are voters faced with?
Well, as John said, overrides are a couple things. Capital overrides are good for 7 years, and you get that same amount of funding every year for 7 years, depending on what the voters approve. An M&O override for operational expenses is a percentage. We can go up to 15% of our budget additional funding. In Scottsdale, we use that additional dollars to pay for all-day kindergarten, because the state of Arizona only pays for half the day of a student to go to kindergarten. We use it to lower our class sizes. We use it to have electives in our elementary schools for art, PE, band, music that the state doesn't fund.
It seems to me that overrides were originally designed to be additions to state funds. Has that particular equation changed?
That equation has changed big time. Since 2008, we have received a reduction of over 20% in our funding from the state of Arizona. And because of that, we've had to shift some of these dollars. Again, 90% of our budget is people, it's teachers. And so as you start losing dollars, you don't want to lose teachers. You shift money around and keep them.
Is that something, do you think, is clear to voters? Is that message out there that what you are doing now isn't so much for the extras? I mean, you hear override, you're thinking above and beyond, and you're going far. It sounds like it's filling in gaps.
Yeah, I think it depends on the individual district and how strong the connection is between the district and the community. Parents really need to engage in the conversation with the school district, with the school board members, research what the funds are going to support, go to the district website to find out more about what specifically their override or bond is going to implement.
We're having 30 plus county votes this go around. How come so many?
You know, I think part of it is the fact that due to the loss in revenue to the general fund, there were cuts. And so districts are looking for additional ways to maintain that basic level of service that really the communities have come to expect.
And you had mentioned the time frame on some of these instruments, if you will. They're come due, a lot of them, aren't they?
And that's why there's a significant number, is every 5 years we have to renew that M&O override. And a lot of districts, we are at year 5. And so this is a renewal. It's not a new increase, it's not a new tax, it's a renewal of what we've already had in place. So a lot of districts are doing that. To put it in perspective, 1 out of every 6 students in Maricopa County this year is being touched by an override or a bond election.
And yet we had a third of these elections last year fail. Why?
I believe anecdotally they failed because there was a lot of confusion. We had Prop 204 on the ballot and people were confused, and I don't blame them. When they were confused, they decided, let's vote no because we just don't understand things. And so our job this year was to truly educate and help people understand the value and the support that they can bring to our district.
How much did that extension of the 1 cent sales tax, how much did that impact, do you think, the votes last year?
You know, it's really impossible to speculate. Certainly it added to the conversation that was happening around funding for schools. And I think that was a great point around, you know, was there clarity on what the funds were going to, whether it was Prop 204 and the individual overrides that were being decided upon.
And again, critics of the override elections and in bonds to a certain degree as well, they say that this is a way that just keeps property taxes high and increasing from where they even are now. Valid argument?
It honestly depends, and I think that's why it's such a local decision, and it's important for local constituents to engage in that conversation. You know, money for the sake of money doesn't support education, but making sure that those dollars are going to specific resources or specific programs that are going to benefit students and increase academic achievement, it's the responsibility of the local voter, the local homeowner, to make that decision.
Talk about the relationship between property taxes and what school districts are asking voters to do.
Sure. Our schools in Arizona are predominantly funded with property taxes. And in Scottsdale's case, this override is an increase because we were not successful last year, so we are having to make up that money that we lost, which was about $4 million. So for us, when you put it in perspective for the homeowner, it comes to 6 cents a day. 6 cents a day is what we're asking additional dollars to be paid in order to have the programs we have. And
was that message made clear last go around?
I believe the message was made clear, but again, there was just confusion with the other initiatives that were on the ballot.
I'm trying to figure out, again, because you see the signs, yes on this, I support education, yes, yes, yes. Who is voting no on these things? Are these homeowners that are saying enough is enough? Do they want to see changes in terms of where the money is going and how the budgets are structured? What's going on out there?
Well, I think transparency is very important. We work very, very hard to make sure that we're transparent with our finances, that we share that information. We have a tremendous amount of information on our website. Some voters are probably a little skeptical, and we sit down and talk with them and they say, gosh, I know now that that money is truly going to my local school district. I will support it.
Does this in some way take heat off of the legislature, off of the governor, off of whomever is responsible for the general fund and getting, obviously education money, there were some here in this last budget, but before that, pretty big time cuts for quite a while here. Are local folks now just taking up the load? You
know, in the short term, they are. But I don't think it takes pressure off the legislature because the expectations are being raised on what schools are expected to accomplish. You know, we have Arizona's College and Career Ready standards that this year, for the first time, are being implemented K-12. And so what we're expecting students to be able to accomplish is that much higher. And so honestly, schools are being expected to do much more to make sure students are ready for college and career.
Talk about those changes in standards. We won't call it Common Core because I guess we're not allowed to anymore, but talk about those changes and what schools are facing.
Schools are facing a major shift. This is probably one of the largest educational reforms that's ever come across the country. The good thing about it, our students are performing at higher levels. Our kindergartner students we'd be happy if they knew their numbers, their colors, and their shapes. They are now writing 4- and 5-sentence paragraphs. The standards have really driven down, and so what we used to do in 1st and 2nd grade, we are now having our kindergartners do. Our students are performing at incredible levels.
So last question here for both of you. What do school districts need to do in order to make it more clear as to what's involved in this vote? And again, what do critics need to do to make their position more clear?
I think, again, we need to communicate. We need to make sure that we have our message sent to folks and that we give the opportunity for people to come in and ask questions.
What do you think?
You got to get out there. I mean, it's not something that can just be done via a website. It's something that's going to be done based on relationships, knocking on doors, and having individual conversations with voters.
All right. It's good to have you both here. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Get the inside scoop on what's happening at Arizona PBS. Become an 8 Insider. You'll receive weekly updates on the most anticipated upcoming programs and events. Get the 8 Insider delivered to your email inbox. Visit azpbs.org to sign up today.
World-renowned pianist Lang Lang has been called the hottest artist on the classical music planet by the New York Times. Lang Lang will perform in town with the Phoenix Symphony Thursday, October 24th. Joining us tonight is Lang Lang. Good to have you here. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Ted.
I mean, you are a big deal on the classical music. Before we get to all that business, though, you been to Arizona before?
Yes, it's actually my 6th time in Phoenix.
Sixth time. What do you think?
It's very nice and hot.
Okay. Have you had a chance to kind of see the scenery? I wonder about concert artists and such. You just kind of go to a town and stay in the hotel and perform and go back to the hotel? How much do you get around?
I remember my first time being here was 2001, and I still remember I came with my father, and it was we were prepared a Chinese box before the concert.
Yes.
And we take out from the fridge, so it's a bit cold. So we put on the street. So 5 minutes later, we had a very nice dinner.
There you go. It's the old boiling the egg on the frying the egg on the sidewalk here. I got to ask you before we get to what you're doing now. I want to know about, because you were a prodigy. You started very young, but you were inspired by a cartoon, a Tom and Jerry cartoon. Talk to us about that.
So I was 2 years and a half, and my parents bought me a piano, but that's already when I was 1 year old.
Wow.
So I was watching one of my favorite cartoons was Tom and Jerry, and as you know, there's an episode called the Cat's Concerto.
Yes.
So Tom, his tuxedo, nice tie, and start playing the piano, and that was my first inspiration. I look at their big concert grand piano, and I look at my little upright piano. I thought, oh, that's the father and that's the son.
Yeah,
so I start playing. That was my first tryout.
Was it something? How old were you when you felt the? I mean, because a kid's a kid, and an adult kind of feels the music differently. But when did you feel that music as part of you?
I would say when I performed first time, I was 5 years old.
5 years old.
Yeah, I played a Chopin Minute Waltz, and I thought that was such a beautiful music, and also the stage light, like now, it's very warm, and also after playing, I got a flower from a little girl. I thought, oh, that was cool.
5 years old already. Huh? When you start so young, and you're good so young, and people are watching you, did you feel pressure at all?
I mean, I must say, it was not always, very lucky. When I was 7, I joined a competition, and which I got lost. So I was like not even number 7. Wow. So I got a consolation prize, a little toy. But I think that was actually encouraged me the most from so many years. So I think sometimes when you're not so good, it actually makes you try to work harder.
Interesting. And you did work harder, and you did obviously move up in terms. It seems as though you connect with the audience in ways that might be a little different than other artists. Do you feel it? Do you feel when you're connecting with the audience?
I would say no matter whether you are a pop star, whether you're a jazz musician or you're a classical musician, in the end we need to get moved by the music, and we need to be totally connected with our heart and our soul to the composition that we are playing. And sometimes I felt that you go into a concert, everything was very perfect, but somehow the soul, the heart is not there.
Yes.
And I think it's very important when audience or musicians listen to another performance, what they like to hear is your sincerity, and that the totally concentrated bridge between your heart and to the keyboard.
When you have your heart and your keyboard bridged like that, how do you know there's another bridge going out to that audience? How do you know they're with you?
I actually, the thing is, when you start thinking about that, then it's become artificial.
Yes.
If you're like, hey, look at me, look how big, then it's not good. It need to be totally sincere. So the thing is, when you're moved by the music yourself, then you have a chance to move to other people.
It's interesting you mention that, because some critics of your style say you're too flamboyant, you're too showy. First of all, respond to that. And what is the difference between having a flair and having that connection and being too showy?
I mean, there are a lot of different kind of repertoire. I mean, tomorrow we will play a very virtuosic piece, the Prokofiev Third Piano Concerto, and that is absolutely, you need to be, to not show off, but to give all your abilities, to take it out, But sometimes when you play really incredible music by Beethoven, like slow movement, adagio, by Brahms, and that time everything becomes the heart and the intellectual power rather than the technique part. So it depends on the pieces. It's almost like a great actor. You need to be capable in playing different roles.
Do you find yourself, as you age, handling that differently? Are you different now than you were 10 years ago in terms of that persona on stage?
It's a little bit easier to calm down a bit when you're getting certain level of playing and certain maturity. But the freshness of what you call the instincts shouldn't change, because if your instincts changes, then it's not good.
Yeah. Do you find as you age that certain pieces of music when you were younger affected you this way, now they affect you that way?
Yeah, for example, the piece I played 10 years ago, even the piece I play tomorrow, it's slightly different, because after 10 years you learn a lot of new things, and those new ideas give you another alternative way to play this piece. So it's sometimes hard to know which one is better, but certainly it's a different input.
And you don't really care about which one's better per se. You just care about what you're feeling in the moment, correct?
I mean, there are certain, a frame of
Yes.
the work you need to follow. The instruction of the scores, obviously. But after that, you need to free yourself, and to put some. Personal ideas on top of the original scores, and the interesting is that when you hear the composers playing their piece, you see a very kind of interesting input on top of the score. So you know that they gave you the room to do it.
Interesting. Hey, you obviously, as you started as a kid, I know that getting other young people involved in classical music is very important to you. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, so in 2008, I started a foundation based in New York and called the Lang Lang International Music Foundation. So now we have 15 very talented next generation artists, which we are mentoring them in our programs. So some of them already play with me 3 times at Carnegie Hall.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, hopefully I'll bring some of them to Phoenix area next time. And we also started a public school support, what we call the Lang Lang Inspires programs, and now we gave about $600,000 for 3 years in a school in Boston, and we gave them the new instruments, and also we hire some teachers to train them in music.
As far as getting young people involved in this type of music, how do you keep their attention? How do you get that spark? Because there's, between computers and the TV and the smartphones and the this and the that, there's so much going on, so much of it is pop, quick, fast. How do you get them to figure out that adagio really is something special?
Obviously, you don't start with adagio.
Okay.
That's a great suggestion, because today our world becomes so fast and so kind of a multiple, what do you call. But actually in music, when you think about a good performance, it's like a multimedia platform. The only way to listen to music is the ear, right? But then you also, when the music comes into your ear, comes into your brain, it needs to be vertical. It cannot be, just kind of flat.
Yes.
So you need to see the characters, you need to see the messages, you need to see the colors, you need to see the structure of the building, and you need to see, the dynamics. So I think everything need to be multiple. So in a way that you know, this time of the year when I'm talking about music to kids, we have, you know, we use smartphones, we use the whatever pad, and we start also physically playing it together, not just talking. You know, because talking is good, but it's more like a music class. But what we want is to get people play together.
That's for kids. Let's talk about some older kids. Let's talk about adults here who still find classical music intimidating and they don't know what they're missing. It sounds kind of nice, but there are people, you are putting your heart and soul into that and they're trying to figure out, what are they missing? How do you tell someone this is what you need to do to appreciate classical music?
I think they just need to go to more concert and maybe to see a good concert.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Maybe not try so hard?
Yeah, not try too hard, but to, you know, maybe go to YouTube, you know, just find some videos of, you know, great musicians perform, you know, people like Yo-Yo Ma, people like Isaac Perlman, people like Pavarotti, you know, and like Leonard Bernstein, you know, get a maybe shorter clip, and then, you know, then I think it's very automatically, you know, and they just feel it. And when you feel it, everything opens.
Yes.
And sometimes there's some kind of maybe paper in front of you, but if you kind of pass, you know, if you break through, then everything kind of comes.
Then you buy every long CD ever made and you can't stop playing them. Hey, you played for the opening ceremonies at the Olympics, the 08 Olympics there in China. What was that like?
It was a gigantic stage, and I was playing with this little girl who's like 5 years old at that time, and I was like a babysitter, and like, you know, please don't run. You know, there's a lot of people watching you now. You know, just let's play together. You know, having fun. And then after 5 minutes, I couldn't find her. I was so scared. You know.
Where did she go?
I'm sure she ran.
She went away
somewhere.
But did you? And again, we talked about pressure when you were younger. On a situation like that, you were representing China, and in many ways, you do represent China in terms of the arts, in terms of the growth of the country, where the country's future is headed. Do you feel pressure there?
Not really.
Not really?
I think just do my best, you know, to perform and to be as a good kind of a culture ambassador.
Yeah. Just so you don't feel like you're necessarily a symbol of China's growth and China's changing image on the stage.
I'm happy that, you know, I'm become a kind of a global citizen, and then, you know, and you know, to kind of to share, you know, what our generation thinking about toward to the future. And I think and this generation need to be a very open generation toward to the global as a one big village. And I think, you know, and as a musician, that's probably one of the best thing is that we are communicators.
Yes. And
through a piece, you don't need to know the culture, but you kind of understood what you were talking about.
Yeah, isn't that it? You live in New York, correct?
Yes.
Why do you live in New York?
I used to live in Philadelphia, and then I moved after graduation. So there's a very big city and a lot of people, and so a lot of parties.
Oh, okay. Well, we can talk about that later. But you have places in China as well, homes in China as well?
Beijing. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But most of the time in New York?
Most time, actually, I'm in the airplane.
That's so funny. Before you go, I got to ask you, what is your, I mean, not necessarily to play, but when you just want to listen to the epitome of classical music, what do you listen to?
I actually love to listen to Mahler symphonies, and I love to learn, you know, actually I love jazz.
Do you?
Yeah, my favorite artist is Herbie Hancock.
Oh, you played with Herbie Hancock, didn't you?
One of my best friends, and he taught me a lot of great tricks of
Isn't that something?
Playing jazz.
Isn't that something? Well, yeah, The Headhunters is one of those old albums that just never goes away. Well, it was a pleasure having you here. Thank you so much for joining us. Good luck with the concert tomorrow, and good to have you back in Arizona.
Thank you, Ted.
Thank you. Yeah. Thursday on Arizona Horizon, a chat with Grammy Award-winning composer and conductor Eric Whitacre. And we'll hear about a program that gives arts organizations free business advice. That's at 5:30 and 10 on the next Arizona Horizon. That is it for now. I'm Ted Simons. Thank you so much for joining us. You have a great evening.
made possible by contributions from the Friends of 8, members of your Arizona PBS station. Thank you.